I never imagined my daughter would save the day during my job interview, and shock everyone. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. Anxiety was a thick fog in my chest, wrapping around my heart. I could barely breathe. The interview was my last shot at stability. My mind raced, thoughts colliding like runaway cars. What if I failed? What if I disappointed my daughter, again? The desperate need to provide for her gnawed at my insides, sharp and unyielding. I sat in the waiting room, fidgeting with my hands, my palms slick with sweat. My eyes darted around. There was a man in a crisp suit, thick glasses perched on his nose, reviewing his notes intently. Then a woman, flawless, polished like a trophy, looking effortlessly in control. I couldn't help but feel small, invisible even. The ticking clock felt like a countdown to a tragedy, its sound pulsating through my veins, and then it happened. Lily, my 10-year-old daughter, waltzed into the room. She should have been in school, but there she was, her hair bouncing in chaotic curls, wearing mismatched socks and a plaid dress. My heart soared and then plummeted. What was she doing here? I felt my stomach twist into knots. The anxious murmurs around us hushed. All eyes were suddenly on her, like she was a bright comet streaking through a dull sky. "Daddy!" she called, her voice ringing like a bell. "I made you a good luck card." She held it high. The edges were crumpled, colored in crayons red, blue, and chaotic scribbles that seemed to leap off the paper. Hope sparkled in the air, but dread crept in, too. This was not the time or place. The stern receptionist raised an eyebrow, the polished people stared, snickering behind cupped hands. My breath caught. How could I tell her to go away? To blend in with normalcy while I floundered? But even as I thought it, I felt the warmth of her love wrap around me. She looked so proud, so innocent. Just as my anxiety reached its peak, the interview panel called my name. My heart hammered against my ribs. I glanced at Lily, who was waving, her smile bright but reckless. "You've got this, Daddy," she chirped. The moment seemed frozen, surreal. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of every hope and fear. As I stepped forward, everything else faded. I could see the glimmer of uncertainty in the interviewer's eyes as they shifted uncomfortably. Was this a bad omen? My throat tightened. What would happen next? The first question hit me like a slap. Tell us about a time you faced a challenging situation and how you handled it. My mind went blank. My gaze slipped to Lily, sitting there like a ray of sunshine in a storm. Suddenly, inspiration sparked. But would my choice echo with shock? The atmosphere felt electric, the silence almost deafening. All I could think of was her unwavering belief in me. My heart raced with a mix of adrenaline and despair. Could I really share this moment? The answer loomed over me like a black cloud. But what would dropping that bomb unleash? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As I stood there, the weight of the moment pressing heavily on my chest, I felt a knife's edge of doubt cut through the fleeting warmth that Lily's card had ignited in me. The question hung in the air, each interviewer peering at me with an expectation that felt unyielding, almost taunting. Should I pour out my heart? Would they judge me? My mind spiraled into the depths of my past failures, the struggles that had left scars across my spirit. Choosing to share the truth was dangerously risky. In that split second, I could feel the tightrope I was about to walk. I opened my mouth, preparing to weave words of my fears, my disappointments, yet as I glanced at Lily's beaming smile, the grip of terror loosened, even if just by a fraction. When I lost my previous job, I began, my voice shaking slightly, it felt like the ground had vanished beneath me. I inhaled deeply, the cool air filling my lungs like a tiny glimmer of hope. But I wasn't just worried about myself. I was terrified of how it would impact my daughter, Lily. I had no idea how I'd provide for her. The interviewers exchanged glances, a flicker of empathy darted across their faces, though they quickly masked it with professionalism. I pressed on, digging deeper into the memory. Each word felt like a release, striving to untangle the heavy knots suffocating me. I had to fight for every opportunity. I took low-paying jobs, meaningful ones, and completely unfulfilling ones, just so that I could make sure she didn't feel the weight of our situation. The woman in the polished suit leaned forward, furrowing her brow in concern. "And what did you learn from that experience?" Another wave of worry washed over me. Did they want a polished answer? Something resume-worthy? Or would they appreciate the raw truth that crumbled around the edges, the vulnerabilities peeled away like old paint? I caught sight of Lily doodling in her notepad, her little tongue poking from the corner of her mouth in concentration. She had transformed a moment of despair into a realm of creativity. "That honesty and resilience build the strongest foundations," I declared softly, my heart racing as I continued, the rush of emotion guiding me. "And how important it is to cherish genuine connections, like the one I have with her." In the midst of chaos, we became each other's safety nets. Just as my words hung in the air, the door swung open, an unexpected interruption. A young man, no more than 20, dashed into the room, his face flushed and frantic. "I'm sorry. I was looking for you," he exclaimed while glancing at the interviewers. "You need to come with me. There's been an incident." My heart dropped. Everything inside me clamored. Was this some kind of an omen, a sign of impending doom? Had something happened to my daughter? The world spun as I stood paralyzed. "Sir, stay calm," one of the interviewers said, his voice steady but laced with concern. The buzz of conversation filled the room, but it fell away like leaves in autumn as I locked eyes with Lily. She stared back, her cheerful demeanor falling away to reveal worry etched into her small features. "What's happening?" I managed to stammer, feeling the panic threaten to overtake me. The young man took a step closer. "It's Lily's school. There's a lockdown." Every breath became a battle. My daughter was at school. I had sent her to school that morning, promising her I would do my best at the interview. But now, the possibility of something terrible rose like a dark tide, and all I could think was that I had no way of protecting her in this moment. "Sir, we need to go," the man urged, but my legs felt like lead, anchoring me to the spot. Lily's expression shifted. It was as if she had read my fears. "Daddy, I'm okay," she called out, her voice trembling slightly with determination. "I'm right here." But was she really? My mind raced with the harrowing images that could be waiting beyond those double doors. Would I choose to leave my interview, the very thing that could secure our future, or rush to her side? And as everything tumbled into chaos, a sharp realization split through the heaviness of despair. In this moment, more than any job or interview, I was a father first. I had to protect her. I had to try. In a heartbeat, I turned to the panel, words spilling from my lips in a rush. "I need to go to her." But just as I pivoted to leave, uncertainty twisting within me, I heard a soft voice behind me. "I'll go with you," the polished woman whispered. The rush of adrenaline coursed through my veins as I locked eyes with the polished woman who had just offered to join me. The gravity of her gesture ignited a flicker of hope amidst the chaos. "Thank you," I managed to breathe out, my throat tight. Her presence felt like a lifeline in a tumultuous sea. As I stepped out of the conference room, the murmur of the company's bustling office faded behind us, replaced by a palpable tension in the air. The intensity of the situation hung over me like a dark cloud, and the walls seemed to close in as we moved. I could feel sweat bead on my forehead, mingling with the fear gnawing at my insides. My only focus was on getting to Lily. The young man led the way through labyrinthine hallways, his pace brisk and urgent. I could hardly muster a thought beyond my daughter's safety, images of her innocent smile colliding violently with worrying scenarios. "Is she okay?" I blurted out to the man, desperate for reassurance. "She's fine," he said, glancing back with a furrowed brow. "They're just taking precautions. It's a safety protocol, a drill, likely." "Just a drill," I repeated like a mantra, trying to anchor myself with those words, even as my heart urged me to hurry. That we finally reached the stairwell. I pushed through the door, sprinting down the steps 2 at a time. Each echo of my footsteps reminded me of the urgency, fueled by that unbreakable bond between a parent and child. The polished woman kept pace beside me, her resolve evident even through her crisp suit. "Why don't you tell me more about Lily?" she prompted, attempting to draw my focus away from the impending panic. "She must be quite the character." Her words were like a breath of fresh air, reminding me that there was more beyond this moment than just fear. "She is," I admitted, memories flooding in of her laughter, her wild stories, how she saw magic in the mundane. "She has this incredible imagination, you know. Even when things are tough, she finds a way to make it light." As I spoke, I felt the energy shift slightly, a small easing of the tension binding my heart. "Last week, she decided we were having a pirate adventure in our living room, complete with treasure maps, and for hours, we were sailing the seas in our minds. She made a blanket fort that was home base." The polished woman chuckled softly, a smile breaking through her professional demeanor. "I can picture it now, a fearless pirate captain and her trusty first mate." It was one of those moments where I forgot about everything else, even if only for a little while, I said, lost in my own telling. I glanced sideways at her. Her eyes sparkled with genuine interest, a reminder that kindness still thrived amidst the anxiety surrounding us. That we burst through the stairwell door onto the ground floor. The atmosphere outside was thick with confusion, distant sirens weaving a tapestry of sound in the background. I could see the gathered parents, expressions mirrored in a frenzy, all anxiously awaiting news about their children. The polished woman fell into stride with me, her steady presence grounding me. "Daddy." I heard a voice call, drenched with both relief and fear. I whipped around to see Lily bounding toward me, her copper curls bouncing with each hurried step. Relief washed over me, chasing away fragments of dread that had lingered during our frantic race. "I'm okay," she cried, her face lighting up momentarily despite the worried crowd. She reached me, and I swept her into my arms, feeling the warmth and safety radiate from her little frame, grounding me like nothing else could. "I was worried about you, kiddo," I whispered, holding her tightly as if I could shield her from the world's uncertainty. A few feet away, the polished woman beamed at the sight. "You're quite the brave adventurer, aren't you?" she said, kneeling in front of Lily and meeting her gaze. "Are you a pirate too?" Lily asked, her voice high-pitched with innocent curiosity, peering at the woman who had shared the whirlwind with us. The woman chuckled and nodded dramatically. "Absolutely. I just came from an important treasure hunt, and it led me here to save this fantastic captain." The atmosphere shifted again, a gentle wave of connection easing the tension in the air. My heart swelled with gratitude for small moments where kindness sprouted in unexpected places. But just as I started to let my guard down, the bubble burst when a loud siren cut through the murmurs of conversation, and it was not just the ones further away. An official stepped into view, ushering parents to a small conference area for an updates briefing. My stomach twisted. "Mommy?" Lily's voice wavered as she looked up at me, uncertainty clouding her bright eyes. I had not realized until that moment how much Lily's world tilted in my own fears. "She'll be here soon, I promise," I assured her, but inside, I felt the weight of doubt creeping again. But then I caught a glimmer of something in Lily's face, a flicker of determination in her gaze. "You'll see, Daddy. They'll show everyone how brave I am," she declared, puffing out her small chest, filled with the innocence of childhood belief. Her spirit sparked something in me, stirring the embers of resilience that I had thought dimmed. I had my daughter back, safe and sound, her courage shining like a beacon amidst the uncertainty still yet to come. but before I could respond, a figure pushed through the throng, familiar and startling. It was the woman who had so often faded into the background of my thoughts, standing in the light of this moment, her expression torn between joy and concern. And then I realized. The very woman who promised me unwavering support during my interview was, unbeknownst to me, connected to Lily in a way that had woven their paths together long before this day unfolded. The ground beneath my feet felt unsteady with the implications of what I was about to uncover. "Daddy, do I have a treasure?" Lily grinned. But as I met the polished woman's gaze, the reality hit me. Sometimes, those treasures are not just found but revealed, and the path ahead was more tangled than I had ever imagined. The sharp sound of the official's voice rang clear, drawing the attention of all the parents gathered. I still held Lily close, my heart racing both from the earlier fear and from the unsettling realization that dawned within me. The polished woman, once a stranger offering kindness, now represented a complicated intersection of my past and present, a reality I had never anticipated. "Attention, everyone." The official's voice carried an urgency that sliced through the tense atmosphere. "Please remain calm. We're just waiting for a few parents." She turned slightly, glancing toward the corridor, and begin addressing your concerns shortly. That I felt the polished woman shift beside me, her eyes still fixed on me like a compass trying to find true north. The radiance of Lily's trust kept me grounded, yet the looming uncertainty gnawed at my resolve. "Mommy will be here soon," I reminded Lily, squeezing her hand. She mustered a brave smile in response, brimming with the kind of hope only a child could possess. How such innocence could exist amidst chaos was a testament to her spirit. But I'd seen enough in life to know that darkness lurked even when light was present. My gaze darted back to the polished woman. "Who are you, really?" I blurted out, the words escaping before I could stop them, fueled by confusion rather than anger. "And what does this mean for us?" She took a moment before answering, her expression softening into a mixture of sympathy and understanding. "I was your audition's observer, yes, but I am also connected to Lily in a way you might not expect." Lily tugged at my hand, unaware of the magnitude of the moment. "Daddy, can I have a pirate hat?" She piped up innocently, oblivious to the storm brewing just beneath the surface. "Not right now, sweetheart." I kept my eyes focused on the woman. "What do you mean?" Taking a deep breath, she stepped closer, eyes locking with mine as the cacophony around us faded into a dull rumble. "I've known Lily for a while. She reminds me of someone I used to know, a brilliant little girl who carried a spark that could light up any room. I didn't know her name until today." "What do you mean you've known her?" The blood rushed in my ears, a storm raging within me. I could feel Lily shifting attentively, even as she remained anchored in her own whimsical world of potential adventures. Before she could respond, another voice chimed in. "Mommy!" A young girl rushed into the gathering, her hair flying behind her like ribbons in the wind. The commotion hushed for a brief moment, drawing everyone's gaze. It was as if the universe aligned for a split second. "Sweetheart." The woman knelt down, arms outstretched. "There you are." I was almost worried sick. The mirrored joy and relief between mother and daughter unfurled like wings in a forgotten garden. Lily watched, wide-eyed, as the woman enveloped her daughter in a loving embrace. "Everything's okay now, we're safe," she murmured, whispering sweet nothings that seemed to melt away all the worry. I barely registered the flicker of recognition in the polished woman's eyes or the weight of realization that this loving moment brought upon me, when the woman stood up. A knowing contemplation crossed her face as if she could sense the questions swirling in my mind. "I know Lily matters to you. She's special." Lily, curious as ever, asked, "Why do you know my name? Are you a pirate too?" The innocence of her inquiry contrasted sharply with the tension still gnawing at my insides. "Because you're a treasure, Lily. You have a light that shines brighter than you know," and that she hesitated, "that will bring changes. Good changes. Like a treasure map." Lily continued, unwavering, "Yes, something like that." But the polished woman appeared hesitant, even her bright smile held an edge of uncertainty. "I didn't expect you to find this out today, but you have a connection that runs deeper than I originally realized." A sudden thought struck me, crystal clear. Every second that ticked forward felt laden with meaning, unanswered questions pulsating in the space between my breaths. What are you talking about? How? As if the world held its breath, she leaned closer, her eyes scanning for eavesdroppers. Your daughter is more perceptive than she seems. And there are things happening that could change both of your lives. She swallowed hard, more than you can imagine. Bang. An unexpected noise erupted from the nearby doors, sending a ripple of alarm through the parents. My heart dropped again as I turned, and I found Lily's eyes fixed on the approaching figure in disbelief. The blonde-haired girl stood silhouetted against the light pouring in, face smeared with dirt and tears, a heart-wrenching portrait of panic. Lily, they took her. Mommy. The echo of her plea silenced the chaos for a moment, shock cascading through me like an unrelenting wave. I cast a glance back at the polished woman, words swimming in my throat. What have you gotten us into? I whispered, dread coiling tightly within my chest. Lily squeezed my hand tightly as we faced the unraveling chaos together. It struck me like lightning, the weight of the day had only just begun, and the adventures ahead no longer felt like childish tales but a daunting reality shaped by the mysteries converging into our lives. The path before us felt obscured, laden with uncertainties as one truth became clear. I never imagined my daughter would indeed have the power to save not just her own day, but perhaps even all of ours. The hollers reverberated in the air as the blonde-haired girl rushed forward, her story bursting forth like a dammed river. They took her. They took Mommy. Her words hung in the air, a bitter truth that settled heavily on my chest. The vibrant colors of the room faded, replaced by an ominous gray veil of dread. A ripple of confusion spread among the gathered parents, the polished woman's expression shifting to one of urgent concern. Harper. Slow down. She urged, kneeling to meet the frantic girl's gaze. What do you mean? Where is your mother? They took her, the big men. They said we had to go. The girl's voice faltered, her limbs shaky as she wrung her hands together. I ran away before they could find me. My mind raced, the unsettling implications of her words crashing against my consciousness like relentless waves. I felt Lily's grip on my hand tighten, her innocent curiosity now replaced with apprehension. Daddy, what's happening? She asked, her eyes wide and searching. That I glanced at the polished woman, whose face had paled, the joy from earlier now a distant memory. Her voice was a whisper, laden with fear. This changes everything. The urgency in her demeanor ignited a flicker of fear within me, one I desperately tried to stifle. For Lily's sake, that we need to find help, I said, instinctively drawing Lily closer, a protective instinct roaring to life. What can we do? Stay calm. The official shouted, regaining some authority over the chaos. If there's an emergency, we need to alert security. Her voice rose and fell like the tide, pulling attention and focus back to her, but in the background, the girl continued to tremble. They said they were taking her away because of Lily. A cold dread sank into my stomach, a truth I couldn't yet grasp snaking through the room's atmosphere. I shifted my gaze to Lily, whose expression had transformed from curiosity to confusion. But why? She asked, her voice small. What did I do? It's not what you did, Lily. It's what you are, the polished woman said softly, a pained look cascading over her features as she searched for the right words. You have a light that will draw attention. I didn't understand how profound it was until now. A light? Lily questioned, tilting her head, her innocence wrapping around the complicated truth that seemed to escape her grasp. No, sweetheart, I interjected, kneeling down to meet her eye level. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. You're special in a different way. There are people, some who don't understand that, and they might want to take you. As fear began to shadow her features, I felt my heart crack a little more. But I don't want to go with anyone but you, Daddy. I want to be with the pirates and find treasure. Her eyes glistened, the innocent desires battling the gravity of the situation. The polished woman stood back, clutching her own arms tightly, overwhelmed yet unwilling to show it. We can't let anyone take her away. We need to find a place where she can be safe, but what if this isn't just about safety? I ventured hesitantly, feeling the weight of questions pressing upon me. What if there are other reasons? Let's not focus on that now, she replied quickly. If we stick together, if we don't panic, we can find a solution. Her voice danced on the edge of determination and fear. We'll figure this out together. Just then, the sound of footsteps thudded through the corridor, echoing with mounting intensity. My heart plummeted. That doesn't sound like security, I murmured, dread washing over me like a tide. Every instinct screamed to run, to gather Lily and escape this place, but another part of me held still, rooted in the moment. Harper's eyes widened, her small body trembling as she clung to the polished woman's leg. They're coming! She cried, her voice sliced with panic. Before I could respond, the doors burst open, and in stepped two firm figures, shadowed by harsh light. Their presence was authoritative, intimidating, a stark juxtaposition to the frantic energy in the gathering room. Everyone, please remain where you are. One of the men barked, scanning the crowd. The polished woman surged forward, her voice steadying in contrast to the fear swirling around us. We're just here for information. This girl may have vital insight. She gestured toward Harper, whose face drained of color. Insight? The man sneered, clearly unconvinced and more focused on us than the child. Your time for questions is over. We need to assess the situation immediately. Lily glanced back at me, an echo of uncertainty radiating from her eyes. In that moment, I felt an overwhelming wave of protectiveness swell within me, the parental instinct pushing me into action. Yet with each heartbeat, I recognized that this wasn't just a situation I was fighting with them but perhaps something larger, a collision of forces surrounding my daughter that I had no way of understanding. Lily, stay close, I murmured, intertwining my fingers with hers, squeezing reassuringly. Everything will be okay. But deep down, the knot of uncertainty tightened. Just as I steeled myself for a confrontation, a new noise broke through the tension. The sharp ringing of a phone echoed from the polished woman's pocket. She fumbled, pulling it out, her eyes wide with a mix of surprise and dread. Who is it? I whispered, heart racing as I felt the gravity of the moment shift again. That I don't know, she replied, answering it with trepidation. Hello. Her eyes flared, staring intently into the abyss of the unknown. What? Nothing could stop it. Her face paled dramatically. No, you can't. The vivid essence of an impending storm coiled tighter around us, enveloping the very air. I felt Lily tremble beside me, a mirror to the turmoil rising in my chest. Wait. What do you mean she's in danger? She gasped, the urgency in her tone sending every instinct within me into overdrive. At that moment, the lines between our lives began fraying, tinged with the promise of imminent revelation. My hands tightened around Lily's, and a sense of foreboding loomed heavy in the air. In that suffocating silence, even the sounds of the chaos around us faded, leaving only the knots of uncertainty racing through my gut. We stood on a precipice, and I realized grimly that the wave of consequences was about to hit, whether we were ready or not. The tension in the room was palpable, thick enough to choke on, as the polished woman stared wide-eyed into her phone. Desperate for clarity, I leaned in closer, my heart pounding, feeling every second stretch infinitely. I could hear only fragments of her conversation, each word a jagged shard of fear that ricocheted through the air. Danger, too late, they're coming, please. She pleaded into the phone. We need time. She needs time. The moment stretched on, and I felt as though the world beyond our chaotic bubble paused in outdated horror. Lily squeezed my hand tighter, as if sensing the inexplicable gravity hanging over us. I turned to her, willing my expression to radiate the comfort I desperately wanted her to feel, but the truth clawed at my throat. How could I protect her from what I couldn't even comprehend? Finally, the polished woman ended the call, her face haunted, her eyes pleading. We need to move. Now. A flurry of thoughts raged in my mind as I scanned the room. Parents were hastily gathering their children, uncertain glances flickering like distant flames of anxiety. Where do we go? I asked, my voice barely steady. Back to the employee exit, it's our only chance. We have to get out before they intercept, she said, her voice urgent yet laced with an undercurrent of fear I hadn't heard before. Why? The desperate question slipped from my lips, driven by an instinctual hunger for answers. Because they want her. They think she holds a power they can control, she replied, glancing over her shoulder toward the entrance where the men stood, their looming presence becoming increasingly suffocating. It's not safe for any of us here. Lily's eyes darted between us, her little face creased with confusion. I don't understand. What power? What did I do? The facade of calm crumbled inside me, and I found myself at a loss for words. She had done nothing but be herself. No time for questions now, I said, forcing a smile, desperate to mask my own fear. We need to focus on getting you to safety. I edged toward the rear exit, pulling Lily gently along with me. But Harper, still shaking, reached up to the polished woman. What if they don't let us go? Leave that to me, the woman assured fiercely, yet doubt lingered in her voice. Just keep moving. I could see her willingness to step into the line of fire for the children, and it instilled a flicker of hope against the darkness threatening to engulf us. As we made our way toward the exit, I caught sight of the two figures blocking our path, their expressions unreadable but their stance rigid and unyielding. A churning panic settled into my gut as the weight of our situation closed around us like a vice. Suddenly, the polished woman turned sharply, her face set with resolve. Stay behind me, she instructed, taking a step forward, her stature tall despite the trepidation in her eyes. I'm not letting anyone touch you. I felt a swell of gratitude and admiration at her bravery, even in the face of palpable danger. Would I find the same courage if the moment called for it, or would I falter? Just as we reached the door, a voice boomed behind us. You're not going anywhere. Step aside. I immediately recognized the harsh timbre of the man who had entered with the other figure. My heart raced, drowning out the noise of the chaotic room. Keep moving. The woman urged again, but I felt the urge to resist, to confront the man, to demand answers, to protect my daughter at all costs. Yet, just as quickly, I realized that any confrontation could bring harm not just to me but to Lily. We dashed through the doorway into the hallway, the world outside feeling both liberating and perilous. I glanced behind us to see the polished woman standing firm, a guardian between us and the darkness trying to seep in. Go! She shouted, the urgency echoing off the walls. Run toward the stairs. I'll hold them back. I hesitated for only a moment. Every instinct screamed to return, to confront, but the shouting from within the room slipped into a chorus of chaos that chased us down the corridor. Daddy! Lily cried, pulling on my hand. Dragging me along. I would not let her down. I forced my legs to propel us forward, every footstep feeling like a rebellion against the fear closing in on us. As we raced down the stairs, I could hardly breathe, every shred of doubt mingling with determination. My mind spun with questions. What would happen to the polished woman? What was so significant about Lily? And did I have the power to save her, or were we merely grains of sand lost in the storm? A chance encounter turned perilous, spiraled into an impossible situation where everything hung in balance. As we burst through the exit, the world beyond centered around our immediate flight, but with each pulse of adrenaline, I could sense looming darkness trailing behind us. Keep going. I urged Lily, shoving aside a sense of despair threatening to settle over us like fog. But just as we reached the edge of the quiet parking lot, Lily suddenly stopped, her small frame rigid. Daddy, wait! She said, her voice stark against the cacophony of my racing heart. What is it? I asked, instinctively glancing over my shoulder as the memories of the distant chaos began to eclipse my focus. Taking a deep breath, her big innocent eyes found mine. I think I actually can help. A chill creeped down my spine, immobile against the urgency that had now tipped into dread. What do you mean, sweetie? Before she could answer, the polished woman burst through the door behind us, eyes wide and frantic. They're coming. We have to move. Wait! I yelled. Lily says she can help. The words left my lips hanging in the air, an echo of uncertainty against the surging storm. What do you mean? The woman probed, her brow furrowing with desperate hope. Lily took a step forward, her little hand trembling but determination flashing in her gaze. I think, if I show everyone, maybe they won't be scared anymore. The world fell silent for a beat, my breath catching as I processed the unexpected revelation. Lily, no, I protested, every instinct within me screaming against it. But her small voice persisted, echoing with an undeniable purity. I want to help. In that crucial moment, the air around us felt charged, a bittersweet fusion of hope and dread drifting through the tension, offering a flicker of possibility even as danger loomed ever closer. I opened my mouth to respond, to warn her, to beg her to think again, but the cacophony of footsteps echoed in response, and as Lily looked at me with defiant courage, I realized once again that we might be racing toward a precipice we had no power to discern. The chaos was closing in, and what lay ahead was uncertain, but her choice loomed like a storm on the horizon, one I couldn't hope to fathom until it chose to unveil itself. Lily, now 8. But she had already stepped forward, and as I felt my heart plummet, a wave of fear crashed over me, heralding the surge of a conflict I had never imagined possible. The air was thick with tension, wrapped in a precarious silence that felt as if it could shatter at the slightest breath. My heart raced as I watched Lily step away from me, her small form eclipsing the last remnants of safety I had clung to. Lily, wait. Don't. I called out, my urgency barely masking the despair in my voice. But she didn't turn back. Instead, she stood tall, so remarkably brave for a girl her age, facing the chaos that loomed behind us, its shadows creeping ever closer. The polished woman shot me an incredulous look, her brows knitting together. You can't let her do this, then what can we do? I countered, my mind spiraling with the weight of the situation. I felt hopeless, a father trapped between his instinct to protect and the inexplicable potential shining in Lily's wide, trusting eyes. Lily, please. I shouted, fear wrapping around each word, hoping to pull her back before the weight of decisions crushed us. But the determination in her stance was unyielding. I can feel them, she said, her voice steady despite the tremors of uncertainty. I think if they hear me, maybe they'll see. I stepped forward instinctively, yet the polished woman held my wrist. If she's right, she might have a chance to reach them. But if they don't understand, we risk losing everything. That a cacophony of footsteps still echoed in the background, urgency heightening within our small circle, yet my focus remained tethered to my daughter. Ow! I winced, pulling my arm free. What if you're wrong? What if they take her? You don't understand what they want, Dad, she said softly, her gaze unwavering, a beacon of light cutting through the fear-cloaked shadows. I need to try. Desperation caught in my throat, but against all odds, against every parental instinct screaming for caution, I found myself surrendering. A small part of me knew that if she felt this strongly, perhaps there was truth in her fragile yet fierce resolve. The polished woman took a deep breath, eyes scanning the perimeter like a sentinel on high alert. If we're doing this, we need to act fast. Lily turned her head slightly, glimmering determination passed between them. There was an unspoken promise, a fragile alliance, hope stitched into the space between them. Heart racing, I stood frozen in place, caught in a riptide of fear and pride. Okay, I relented, my voice barely a whisper, fear laced with unyielding support. Just be careful. Without taking another moment, Lily stepped forward, calling out with a voice that rang clear against the shadows encroaching on our retreat. Wait. Please. I have something to show you. My heart dropped as her words echoed through the still air, the conviction radiating off her fragile figure like golden sunlight pursuing the darkness. Lily, don't do this. I shouted, desperate. But it was too late. Shadows moved closer, figures gliding into view, their faces obscured but their intent palpable. I could see the glint of something dangerous in their eyes, and my protective instincts surged anew. Get back! I screamed, but it was swallowed by the cacophony of gruff voices urging each other forward. Little girl. You need to step aside. One of the approaching figures barked, uniformed and imposing. "If you're scared, then listen to me." Lily's voice cut through the chaos, surprising even me with its strength. "I can help you understand." In that moment, I witnessed something truly remarkable. The men halted, surprised by the audacity of her request, glancing at one another, their uncertainty a beacon of hope amidst the approaching storm. "Nobody's going to hurt you, I promise," she continued, voice unwavering. "If you give me a chance, maybe you won't be afraid anymore." I could see the polished woman's eyes widen, a mix of disbelief and awe painting her expression. Hope flickered like a distant flame, and still, my heart pounded with the relentless possibility of danger. Then, the lead figure spoke, hesitating for just a moment. "And what power do you think you have, child? You're just a little girl." His tone was condescending, yet there was a shift in his demeanor. "I can show you who I am," she replied, her words spilling forth like the softest of promises, her small hands outstretched to bridge a chasm I had never conceived. "Stop!" I shouted, my instincts clawing at the edges of my sanity. "Lily, come back," but in that moment, the world fell away, shadows running the periphery of my vision as but a muted dream. I stood anchored in place, rooted by creeping panic, yet watching helplessly as Lily reached ever closer to the threshold of fate. "What did you say?" The figure leaned slightly forward, curiosity breaching his authoritative air, and then, with unexpected grace, Lily drew in a deep breath, her face brightening as she summoned every ounce of her spirit. "I know things. I feel things. You're afraid because you don't understand me, but I can help you." The air felt charged with anticipation, an electric current crackling between innocence and fear bordering on fury. I could feel the world shifting, a potential breach of comprehension aching to unfurl. And as I stood there, mouth agape in shock, my mind reeled from the enormity of her unrelenting courage. Me daughter, in this pivotal moment, standing as a bridge between realms I never dreamed would collide. But then the moment splintered, a dark shadow slipped behind the lead figure, another presence drawing near, a threat I had feared all along. "You're wasting your breath, little girl," a new voice slipped into the balance, cold and foreboding. "You'll never understand what you're really up against." Panic surged like a tidal wave, drowning out Lily's hopeful plea as realization struck me with cruel intensity. We were caught in something far more tangled than I had imagined. "Lily, come back!" I shouted, desperation clawing at the edges of my voice, pulling her to me, though I had never felt so powerless against the currents of fate. But just as the shadows loomed larger, the polished woman stepped between us, resolve etched into her features. "Stand down. I'll protect her." And in that breathless instant, a wave of uncertainty washed over me, spiraling toward an unbearable revelation. Me daughter had just taken the first daring step into the unknown, and as darkness crept forward, I wrestled against helplessness, knowing now more than ever how fragile our world truly was. Then, shockingly, in the face of uncertainty, the echo of laughter bubbled up from a distant corner, surfacing from the chaos, a haunting reminder that sometimes, amidst the chaos, a flicker of light could guide us home. But the ominous shadows still beckoned, and in the beat of silence that followed, I knew this was only the beginning of our fight. The world around me seemed to halt, time losing all meaning as I watched the shadows coalesce, drawing close to Lily and the polished woman standing defiantly before her. My heart thundered in my chest, torn between dread and an inexplicable surge of pride for my daughter's bravery. With every ounce of my being, I wanted to sweep Lily into my arms, to shield her from this darkness that loomed. Yet, the determination in her eyes, a mix of innocence and fierce resolve, held me captive. In her smallness stood the audacity of hope, radiating warmth like a defiant sun pushing back the encroaching night. "Listen to me," Lily implored, her voice quaking but unwavering. "I know you're scared, but we can help each other. We don't need to be enemies." The lead figure shifted, uncertainty flickering through his stoic facade, but it was the newcomer's chilling laughter that cut through, resonating with bitter mockery. "And what do you know of fear, little girl? You live in a world of make-believe. You know nothing of the true darkness that surrounds us." Before any words could form in my throat, the polished woman replied, her voice infused with unexpected strength. "You underestimate her. she sees what you refuse to acknowledge. Empathy is powerful when wielded with sincerity. I could see the flicker of understanding bloom like a flame caught in the wind, igniting something deeper within the men. But for every inch Lily gained, I felt the threads of danger tightening around us, tightening like an unyielding noose. Backward, step back, I murmured, instinctively moving forward, feeling groundless as dread coursed through me. Panic bubbled beneath the surface, fueled by the haunting oaths I had once sworn to protect her, but just as I reached out, a fleeting moment of connection sparked between Lily and the lead figure. His hardened resolve began to thaw, hints of uncertainty crystallizing around the edges of his demeanor. She didn't back down, instead, she reached deeper into herself, pulling at invisible threads unseen to the rest of us. Fear is an anchor, she said softly, gathering a softness to her aura, but it doesn't have to sink us. We can learn together, we can. But then the air thickened, the darkness swirling like a creature poised to attack. You think your words hold magic, the voice hissed back, vicious and scalding, but here, little girl, magic is nothing more than a fairy tale. That I felt the weight of fear shift again, this time sour in the pit of my stomach, dragging me further away from hope. Lily, we should go, I urged, edging closer to her, desperation coiling around my words. This isn't safe. No, she said, her voice steady like an unswayed oak in the storm. All my life, I've been told what I can and cannot do. If I don't take a stand now, how will we ever know the truth? Her gaze, fierce and luminous, held steady against the encroaching shadow, and for an instant, I felt as if the ground we stood on teetered between worlds. The polished woman moved to my side, a subtle reminder that I wasn't alone in this unbearable moment. Sometimes, it takes a child's voice to pierce the hearts of the hardened, she whispered, the warmth of her presence adding strength I didn't know I needed. Just then, a sharp crack of a branch shattered the tension, slicing through the palpable stillness. The figures shifted uneasily, eyes darting like startled prey, a hint of vulnerability spilling forth. Yet even as they hesitated, I felt a greater force push against us, suffocating the air between breaths. Which one of you is going to choose fear over understanding? A gust of wind roared through, raising an uncanny chill, making the hairs on my arms stand erect. Lily, undaunted, stepped closer to them, her spirit shimmering with the kind of defiance that gripped my heart and stretched it wide. You're not just soldiers, you're people. We all deserve to be seen and heard. Let's not throw away that chance because of fear. At her declaration, the lead figure faltered further, uncertainty clouding his expression. Yet the dark presence loomed larger, a sinister force melding in on itself with unseen urgency. It's not your decision to make, child, the newcomer hissed. You think your voice matters? It'll show you just how fleeting it is. Before I could process the threat, they lunged forward, shadows cutting through the fragile barrier. No. I screamed, instinct pulling me into motion. Spurred by the visceral terror of knowing I might lose her, I charged, a raw blend of panic and determination surging through every limb. But just as I reached them, a blast of energy surged forth from Lily, causing both the polished woman and I to stumble back, casting off our gravitational pull. Her voice rang, striking a powerful note in the air, weaving through the chaos as if orchestrating a heartbeat. I won't let you silence my heart. Her cry reverberated, a wild, clear bell that cut through the din, echoing into that charged moment, defying what we feared. Frozen for one wild, electrifying breath, the shadows recoiled, a dissonance crackling in their ranks. For a heartbeat, the world stilled, watching over her as hope burgeoned again, fragile yet fierce, but then everything shifted like an unwelcome hand reaching back into an already tangled past. A haunting realization glimmered at the back of my mind. Was I indeed watching a miracle unfold, or were we standing on the precipice of something altogether darker? And as out of the corners of those shadows, figures started to shimmer, blurring lines between friend and foe, I felt the icy embrace of an undeniable truth. The choice to confront fear was not just Lily's anymore, it became a burden we all had to shoulder, a weight heavier than the darkest night could bear. Then, through that eerie calm, a figure stepped forward, its face shrouded still in darkness, but the air shimmered in recognition. My heart plummeted as familiarity washed over me, cold as ice. Have you come to save her? It lingered in the silence, and to my horror, I realized that voice belonged to someone I had thought lost for a face I thought I knew, lurking just beyond the veil. And with that, the shadows closed in, sealing our fate in a heady mixture of hope and dread, leaving me hanging in despair, the journey yet uncharted, a dark horizon stretching infinitely before us. The weight of that voice echoed around me, a haunting melody that recited both past grief and unfathomable possibility. My breath snagged in my throat, and for a moment, I felt as if the ground had shifted beneath my feet, plunging me into an abyss I thought I had escaped. The familiarity of it gnawed at me, resurfacing memories I had shelved deep within the creases of my mind. Why are you here? I managed, my voice trembling as I locked eyes with the shadowed figure. Every fiber of my being wanted to leap forward, to grasp the truth that lingered like smoke between us. But fear rooted me to the spot, my heart racing, a tempest of emotions battling for control. Lily's stance remained unwavering. I could see the way her small frame absorbed my instant panic, her focus trained on me, perhaps sensing the storm brewing inside. "Dad, who is that?" she called, her voice sharp yet brave, like a sword gleaming in the dark. The shadow shifted slightly, revealing a hint of familiarity, beneath a lingering veil. "I am someone you thought you lost," it replied, voice low and resonant, thrilling and chilling in equal measure. "But I've come back, and you must listen. What do you want?" I demanded, my voice harsher than intended. Anger coursed through me, a burning surge that freed me momentarily from the weight of fear. "You've already taken enough, taken." The figure laughed softly, an echo that bounced off the encircling shadows. "What have I taken from you that was truly yours? All I have done is unravel the layers of your reality." The polished woman steeled herself beside me, a protective armor in the form of her presence, but even she seemed disarmed by the prospect of this confrontation. Behind her, I sensed the air thickening again, a herald of the chaos that loomed, even as Lily's fierce heart beat like a wild drum, steady and resolute. "Dad," she said, her voice slicing through the cacophony of emotion. "Trust Malaise, hear what this person has to say. If they know something, we can use that knowledge." Hope flickered in her eyes as I met her unwavering gaze, but the shadows rejoiced at our discord, swirling with laughter that reverberated ominously through the clearing. I felt a tumult of dread for what lay ahead, yet a glimmer of admiration for my daughter's unwavering bravery. With a deep breath, I turned back to the figure cloaked in darkness, a stranger and a thread from my past woven together. "Fine," I said, enforcing a shroud of authority I did not truly feel. "Speak then." "We're listening, children and their insatiable curiosity," the figure mused, a smirk curling in the glint of their half-visible face. "Do you remember what you once sought to protect? The remnants of truth tucked away like old letters in a drawer, buried deep." My heart raced again. "What truth? What are you talking about?" But before the shadow could respond, the men who had loomed threateningly before us shifted uncomfortably, their resolve faltering against the erupting tension. Lily seemed to draw strength from that uncertainty, moving closer, unhindered by the chaos, her innate warmth pushing against the encroaching darkness. "Maybe you should answer her," Lily said fiercely. "Maybe we all deserve to know, children," the figure muttered with disdain. So obstinate, yet buoyed by hope. They turned back to me, seeking recognition in my eyes. "You have long since hidden from what lies ahead the truth that binds us all together, the key to your daughter's gifts and your own fears." No words came back to me, only shards of memories flickering like distant stars only I could reach into. "You think I can't handle the truth?" I finally said, my voice a mixture of apprehension and fury. "You have no idea what I've gone through, then let me show you." In an instant, the air around us stirred violently, shadows swirling to reveal images, fragments of memories that threatened to drown me. I saw flashes of previous lives, times where I had chosen wrong, lost love, lost purpose, the weight of anxiety collapsing into despair. But then, among those memories, a flicker of light. It revealed Lily as a baby, cradled within my arms, the laugh of her mother, moments so painfully beautiful they stung. It was a reminder of why I had once fought so hard against the dark. "Your past is complicated, as is hers," the figure said, voice growing softer, tinged with vulnerability. "But there is always a way to change the narrative, to turn despair into hope." Lily stepped forward, unflinching in the face of the cascading shadows. "You're saying we can rewrite our story together, isn't that what you wanted all along?" The figure's tone shifted, resonating with unexpected warmth. "To not just be what others have labeled you, but to define your own narrative." Just then, an unfamiliar wind howled through our midst, each gust chilling but also whispering secrets, their fierce touch painted with a surreal promise. My emotions began to clash like an orchestra in disarray, battling for dominance, the revelations entwining my heart within a shroud of love and uncertainty. Could I fully trust this figure cloaked in shadows, this specter of my past? Was it possible to find our way through this maze together? And then, as if in a moment of eager anticipation, a single pitch of clarity rang out from Lily, bright and piercing. "No matter what happens next, I believe in truth, and that means we can face whatever is out there together, whatever we have to confront." But as she spoke, a fissure appeared in the ground, the shadows coiling down into its depths, a terrifying yawning chasm that quaked beneath our feet. The spectral figure smirked mischievously, retreating slightly into the haze. "Then be prepared, for the truth you're clamoring for will not come without trials," it taunted, and with that, the shadows erupted forward, a devastating wave swelling in the space between us and O. I shouted, lunging instinctively toward Lily, the fear gnawing at my insides, knowing one misstep could lead us into the unknown depths. We were caught on the brink, tethered to the voice of my past, the heart of my daughter, and the inky edges of the unfamiliar future, an unfinished story stretching out before us, teetering dangerously on the precipice. As darkness threatened to consume us all, I gripped Lily's hand tighter, feeling the warmth of her presence against the chilling void. This was just the beginning, and we were about to face the unimaginable together. The echoes of the unfolding chaos melded with the weight of my heart as I stood, frozen in time, caught between the shadows beckoning me forward and the warmth of my daughter's presence grounding me. The swirling darkness that threatened to consume us felt alive, pulsating with urgency, yet there was a sharp clarity woven through Lily's unwavering gaze. In that moment, everything felt impossibly tangled, but in the depths of uncertainty, doubt began to dissolve, replaced with a profound realization. Lily's refusal to back down, her innocent yet fierce heart flickering with bravery, ignited something deep within me, a resolve I thought had long since waned, buried beneath the rubble of anxiety and despair. "Lily," I whispered, my voice hoarse but filled with newfound determination. "You have to promise me one thing." She shifted her gaze, confusion flickering through her big eyes, yet there was also a deep-rooted trust woven through the innocence of her expression. "What is it, Daddy?" "Promise me that you'll be true to yourself. No matter what shadows we encounter, you can always shine your light. If we face whatever is coming, we face it together. Promise?" Her nod was sure, an anchor amidst the stormy seas of uncertainty. "I promise, Daddy." "Well, face it together." As the shadows crept closer, bearing down with oppressive weight, I felt a pulse of strength reverberate through me in tandem with Lily's fierce spirit. Her light, that radiant innocence that seemed too precious for a world so wrapped in chaos, became our guiding star. "Then let's show them who we are," I bellowed, maneuvering around the oncoming darkness, making my way toward the figure standing before us, this specter from my past who seemed to hold secrets I could scarcely comprehend. The shadows shifted, agitated by our defiance, but we moved forward, two beating hearts entwined in a tapestry of courage. "What do you want from us?" I demanded, clarity emerging within my voice. "If you're here to draw us into darkness, you'll find we have no intention of following." Lily stood shoulder to shoulder with me, her small stature belied by the steadfast strength radiating from her, a poignant reminder that even the smallest beings could send ripple effects through the vast expanse of uncertainty. "The choice is not mine to make," the cloaked figure replied, a wry smile twisting on its face, dipping into shadows yet encircled by a shimmer of intrigue. "It has always been yours." The ground trembled beneath us, a surge of energy rising as if the very universe strained to listen. A mixture of fear and hope danced through my heart like a fragile bloom, an understanding that the truth could illuminate the darkest corners, the chains that once shackled us could tighten no longer. "We choose light," I asserted, glancing at Lily. "We choose understanding over fear." Lily stepped forward, beaming with humble courage, her voice ringing through the oppressive silence. I believe light can guide the way. It doesn't matter if it's hard, we'll make it through as a family. Suddenly, the shadows recoiled, the argument between darkness and light pulsated through the air like a current, charged with yearning. Their tendrils slithered back, circling just outside our reach, caught between the radiant hope shining from my daughter and the encroaching fear trembling within me. Then the figure took a step closer, a flicker of surprise creasing its once hard-set features. "You are braver than even I anticipated," it whispered, voice filled with an unexpected cloth of warmth. "But courage must be mated with truth." "What truth?" I pressed, my palms clammy against the swell of fear still clawing at my gut. "I have come to reveal what you have been running from, what keeps you shackled to the darkness lurking in the corners of your soul, the voice that keeps telling you you're not enough. You must confront it." In the blink of an eye, memories began emerging, pieces long buried beneath the torrent of doubt. The shadows flickered, revealing faces of hurt, moments of despair, burdens I had clung to, believing I could mask their weight through sheer force of will. The polished woman, moving closer, joined in, her aura illuminating, hearts intertwined in conflict, mirroring my tumultuous past. "It's time to release your grip on the burdens you've carried. Only by confronting your fears can you truly find freedom." As Lily looked up at me, the determination in her eyes reminded me of a fierce pirate captain leading the charge across uncharted seas. "You can do it, Daddy." In that instant, the tumult of emotions coalesced, fear and pride twirling through me as I realized that to unveil the truth, I needed to look inward and genuinely confront my dark corner. "Then show me," I breathed, an exhale of vulnerability enveloping me, embracing those moments of pain with the light of understanding. "Show me how to find my way home." The shadows danced around us, swirling with newfound energy imbued with urgency. "Here, in this labyrinth of your creation, lies every regret, every failed promise. Choose to acknowledge them, and the shadows will shift." Inside the echo of the shadows, something glimmered, hope intertwined with fear, and I felt the gust of possibility sweep through me, urging me to confront the emotions I had long hidden from. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward into the depths of the shadows, a small hand encircling my own, steady and unwavering. "Together," I whispered, feeling Lily's presence bolstering my resolve. As we ventured deeper, layers began to peel away, the laughter and warmth interlacing brightly against the darkened backdrop. "I forgive you," I whispered, trembling as I released the chains I had forged around the voice of my past. "I forgive myself." Lily's grip tightened, and before our very eyes, the shadows transformed, shifting into cascading waves of light that enveloped us. In that moment, everything separated. The once darkened corners filled with the vestiges of pain and sorrow were replaced by radiant luminosity, exploding into a spectrum of colors that blazed across the horizon of our dreams. Within that luminous embrace, the polished woman and the cloaked figure stepped back, a visible release of tension unfolding as barriers crumbled around us. All at once, I felt an overwhelming sense of relief wash over me, the burden of expectations fading like old scars, healing under the weight of compassion. My daughter stood beside me, a fierce light illuminating the way, revealing a new dimension to our journey, one we had long fought to overcome. As we opened our arms to the brilliance that surrounded us, every ounce of uncertainty began unraveling. Illuminated paths of love stretched out ahead, beckoning with the promise of new beginnings. Lily turned to face me, her eyes glowing with wonder, reflecting the depth of the transformations that lay ahead. "See, Daddy. We did it." Tears began to well in my eyes, the journey we had taken together brushing against the edges of my heart. Emotion swelled within me, a rush of gratitude for every moment that had brought us here. Our story didn't end here, we were just beginning. And as I glanced at my daughter, I whispered, "You've saved us both." In the shimmering glow of our rebirth, I understood now just how powerful love could be, how it could light the way through the darkest storms. Our story would pave the path of boundless adventures where fear would no longer hold dominion. As the chaos faded into the distance, it struck me just how much love could change the course of destiny, and in that moment bathed in light we became our own heroes, reclaiming our journey, ready to write a new chapter. The final whispers surrounding us were echoes of a tale told anew, one shimmering with hope and intertwined with the laughter of understanding. Every ending, as it turns out, bears the promise of a new beginning, and I cherish the one right beside me. Together, well sail those seas, I murmured, my heart swelling, echoing the deep truth that had crystallized within me. In the end, love is the greatest treasure of all.